and welcome to Colin's Wonder. I hope you're having a wonderful day. In this video, I have an entry into Pen Wars and pen review of the Esterbrook Raven. So let's give you some close-up shots here. The pen capped. So this pen is inspired by a poem called The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. I actually do appreciate his work. One of my favorite things to go to every Halloween is an Edgar Allan Poe themed magic show and dinner. It's actually really fun. So if you have a place called Mystique Dining by you, highly recommend. So let's see. Let's go ahead and uncap it. It does post. I don't really post pens, but that's what it would like posted. You can get a closer up of the nib. Probably add in a macro shot here, just for you to look at. Get a closer view, the macro. All right, so some things I like about this pen. Well, I do like its overall look. It's like the stealth black. I kind of like it with the black clip. It is a piston filler with an ink window. I do like the ink window. I like that as a feature. I do like it's a piston filler. I like the black nib. I don't mind that it's still at all. So, in fact, I mean, I feel like it writes pretty well. It's a good writer. I put about 3 or 4 different inks in here. It's handled them all pretty well. I did have Midnight Hour in here, and Midnight Hour did dry up on me a little bit. But I put Midnight Hour by Diamine in a lot of pens, and a lot of pens were running into the same issue. And, I think that ink's just tough if you leave exposed to the air for longer than 30 seconds. So I'm not going to hold that against it in the review. But speaking of holding things against this pen, so take my review with a grain of salt, because it's highly likely that I just got a bad pen shipped to me. It's an unlucky winner, so to speak. If you saw my unboxing video, go ahead and check it out. Maybe I'll link it in the description. But some things what I got unboxing this, I might post some close-up shots here, but this section here on the ink window was scratched just out of the box. I think that's from the cap mechanism. I'm not sure entirely, but it does appear to scratches. It came that way. The other thing was the pen body and the finial cap, and actually this little divider are misaligned. So I did find a remedy for that, but when I got it out of the box, they were kind of shifted down, so it kind of felt weird. And the remedy was just to kind of pinch it, just around this together, and it actually shifted and moved up, which means maybe there's, I don't know if these are pulled together or screwed together somehow, but maybe that was a little loose and it's not holding tight to this body. The other thing is, I don't know if you can hear this. I'm going to put it next to the mic. So if I click here, it just has a little click noise in this part here, which I don't like either. So, yeah, overall, I just wish my first experience with this pen was a little bit better. The other thing is, I wish the clip had a little more going on. It's a little simple, and I get it is a simple and aesthetic for this pen, but I just wish it was a little bit better. So yeah, would I recommend this pen? Uncertain. I had a bad experience, getting it directly from Esterbrook. I didn't contact them. I haven't reached out to them or complained or anything, so I can't vouch for their customer service, and I'm not holding it against them as a company at all. I think I was just unlucky. But I would say if you can see this pen in person, look at it before you buy it. Make sure you like it. Um, so yeah, would I buy this pen again? I don't know, honestly. I do feel like I did pay full retail price for it, and I do think it's a little bit expensive for that price. So one of the reasons I did buy it was my wife actually has the Winter White Etsy, and this pen just feels higher quality in my hands for some reason. Um, and hers was also the piston filler with the ink window. Her ink window is not scratched. Everything feels smoother about this. Oh, that was the other thing. When I did get this pen, this made a weird noise screwing in and out. It's not really making it as much, but I can feel a little bit of vibration when I screw it in and out. I'm not feeling that on hers at all. So her pen's almost like a dream relative to mine. So yeah, I thought I'd mention that. So the other thing is, it is a little bit longer of a pen for me. So let me pull out so you can compare it to some other pens. So if you look here, the length side, it's the longest one I have in this set. So if I let it focus, okay, there we go. We have the Raven here, a Twisby Kai, a Sailor, Pro Gear, Mont Blanc Meisterstück, Pilot Custom 843, a Lamy 2000, and Esterbrook Estie, which is about the same length. They're just a little long for me compared to the other pens. So, man, this camera doesn't want to focus right now. So, okay, I locked focus here. But yeah, let's see. As you can see, I think the Pilot Custom is about as long as I would want a pen when it's capped. It's just barely longer. I just wish it was a little bit shorter. And the Pilot Custom, I can weigh these. I'll weigh them later as part of Pen Wars. But it just feels a little denser. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the writing samples. So leave that here, pull this pen back out, and I'm going to showcase my wife's writing sample first. So let's see here. So yeah, she actually wrote with this pen. The ink is Writer's Blood, which we both thought kind of matched the pen, with the Edgar Allan Poe Raven poem. So it seemed like a fitting ink. It's like a deep, darker red, some brown notes to it. Yeah, so let's see if I can get closer here for you. Yeah, so nice little writing sample, but I'll write some with it live here too, just so you can see and demonstrate the pen working. So let's go ahead and zoom in. As I said, it's Writer's Blood by Diamine. So it's a juicier ink right now. It is freshly inked. So yeah, it does feel really good so far with every ink I've thrown in there. All right, so I'll get a little closer for these samples so you can see. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to Pen Wars. Yeah. So, all right. So I'll zoom out just a little bit so you can see what I'm writing. So this pen is an Esterbrook. Oh. Raven. And the nib is a fine nib. Oh, which reminds me, let's go back to my writing sample just for the sake of being consistent. Let's see what its line thickness is with this fine nib. Does look like it's at a 0.48. Oops. Okay. All right. So I did pre-score this just so I can do the math quickly. So I think I do overall like the shape of this pen. It's like a classic cigar shape. I just think it's a little too long. Maybe it's a little too. If the finials were cut and not rounded, or sort of flat, not rounded, I might like it a little bit more. So I'm gonna give it an 8 on the shape. The nib, I really do like its dark aesthetic. So it's really dark. It matches the pen. I like the, the detail on there, but I think it could use some improvement. So I'm going to give it an 8. The clip, I think it's a little too simple. I kind of wish maybe there was some kind of detailing on there, something to go with it. Just a little more something. It just feels a little cheap, honestly, and looks a little too basic and cheap. So I gave the clip a 6. And originality. So, I've seen other black pens in a cigar shape out there. I can't really say this is like too original. I don't know. I didn't really give it any bonus points here. Maybe if one wants to argue that it deserves here, that's fine. We can boost that score, but I gave it 0 originality points, and I gave it a score of 22 out of 30 and a 14.7. All right, the materials. So I do like the overall feel of this, like the friction on my fingers feel, but it does feel somehow a little cheaper too at the same time, especially compared to the winter white. This one just feels, for some reason, like higher quality resin. It just feels better. So I gave it a 7 here. And the precision, considering that the threads felt a little scratchy when I first was screwing it in and first unboxed it, and they were making a noise on the threads, and that this was misaligned. And it seems to, be a systemic thing. I guess I should have mentioned earlier in the video that this is a piston filler. Maybe I'll talk about it later. So I'll save that for later. I just thought about that now though. So I gave it a 7 on precision. I felt like there's room for them to improve on their manufacturing process as far as, what they made. The nib alignment came out of the box misaligned. So it fortunately hasn't really, been problematic as far as writing goes, but I'm going to give it an 8. The imperfections. So again, this was scratched out of the box. This was, you know, misaligned. This makes noises. The nib's misaligned. It kind of makes some scratchy noises. I just think this suffering from a lot of imperfections. So I gave it a 5 here. And no spare parts. So 27 out of 40. And that got a 13.5. All right. So it is a piston filler. But it's this button piston filling mechanism. So I'm not a big fan of this, and I'm going to tell you why. It's not, I don't hate it, but I just prefer the more traditional piston filling mechanisms a little bit more. The reason why is you don't really get a lot of ink in here. It's kind of hard to get a lot of ink in here compared to a regular piston filler. Secondly, I've changed ink in this pen 3 times now, and now the piston's sticking. So when I compress it to fill up ink, it just stays down and I have to pull it back up. So I'm probably gonna have to go in there and lubricate it. So I don't like that. And then second, there's a little cap here which comes off, and you know, I don't know. I feel like that's the worst thing about a vac filler is you have to unscrew this back part that can potentially break. But now you have this which can come off and you can lose it, and I just don't like it as much. That it comes off like that. So I actually gave this a 7 on the fill mechanism. And then the clip, so not aesthetically speaking, but functionally, it does function. It's not too stiff. I do feel like it's a little cheaper. It's like thinner metal. So I'm a little worried about the longevity of this clip. So I gave it an 8. And then design flaws. So the flaws I can think of, you know, it does have a thread stop here. I can't over tighten it, so that's good. I don't really like how this comes off. You know, that you could consider that design flaw. I really didn't. But that's something you could lose. What I did consider a design flaw was the fact that it seems that you screw this in and it was scratching this, and I couldn't feel anything in here that would scratch that. So I just feel like there's something about this design that was systemically causing that issue. So I did ding it there. And then features, I didn't give it any special points for features. So this got a score of, let's see, yeah, 23 out of 30, which yielded a 15.3. All right. So I've been really tough on this pen. And again, I might be a little biased here because of my negative experience with the unboxing. I have been using this pen for about a month now. So I had put it through its paces. And the good thing about that is the usage section it did do very well in. So I've had no skipping issues. I'm not gonna the ink, the midnight hour ink. I'm not holding it against this pen because as I said, I put it in a lot of other pens. So every other ink I put in this pen has had 0 hard start issues. And again, the midnight hour is just if I just did stuff, let this pen sit for 30 seconds. It wasn't one capped and uncapping. So ink flow has been great. Let's see here. The weight I did put at a 10 as well. This is borderline too light. Borderline too light. I do wish it was a little bit heavier. The cleaning is ignored now. Everything gets a 10 for now. Although one of my upcoming pens, I'm going to ding it a little bit here. And I'll explain why in an upcoming video, but I have found a pen that I will ding on cleaning. And then writing. So I do find myself, this pen, I write with it for a while. It feels good. I don't know why. I did put a 9 here. It's not that it's like a bad writer. It's just I find myself wanting to switch to a different pen. Maybe it's just because this one's a little bit lighter. And maybe I just want something a little bit different. So this pen does write really well, but that was just personal preference. So they got a 59 out of 60, which is a 19.7. Okay, so price. The price of this pen retail, I think it was like $250. I honestly think it's a little expensive, considering the quality of what I got in my hands. I wish for that price I got a little bit of a better experience. So I'm gonna ding it here. Put it at a 7. And the brand, I do think this is a well-respected brand. I don't think it's, a huge brand per se, but I do think it's respected. I gave it an 8 on brand. And that brings my total score to 78.2 out of 100. Okay, so let's see. I think I could have been a little hard on this pen, but I feel like I'm within the ballpark of where I would honestly put it at. I do like this pen. And as I said, I would recommend, if and only if you have the ability to look at it in person, feel it for yourself, make sure it works and, it's not scratched on the ink window. And yeah, just, see if you like it in person if you have that option. So give you a closer up of the score. All right. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Consider subscribing.